Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Wendy. If you're new here, please consider subscribing so you can be notified anytime we have a new video. Today we're going to be doing a Dollar Tree DIY project just in time for Christmas, and we'll be starting with this Dollar Tree frame. It's actually meant for an 8 by 10, but the outside measures 12 inches by 10 inches. So it's nicely sized for this project. I first covered the backing after I took it all apart with a piece of black scrapbook paper, and then I hot glued the glass into the frame so that it was permanent. Next, I took some skewers and measured them and then cut them down and glued them into the inside of the frame. I needed something to lift it so that there was a gap between the backing and the glass of the frame. So these were skinny enough that they wouldn't show, but then I had to put two so that it would raise it up enough to do what we're gonna do. After I got them glued in there, I painted them white using a sponge brush from Dollar Tree as well, and then just scraped off the excess paint that got onto the glass. Next, I'm going to go to my Cameo silhouette and cut out fresh cut trees in white vinyl. And I actually got this vinyl from Walmart in a roll, and it was pretty cheap. I think it was something like $7.99 or $8.99. But then after I got it all cut out, I put the transfer tape on it and put it right onto the outside of the glass, and then using a squeegee just made sure it was firm and in place, and then removed the transfer tape from the glass. When you're working with glass, you really want to make sure that it is in place before you actually lay it down, because it will stick. Next, I'm taking some snow from Dollar Tree, of course, and putting some into the glass frame. And then I put the backing on, and holding it securely, I want to check to make sure that it's the right height as far as how deep I want it to go. Once I get the right measurements, then I'm going to use my glue gun and glue the backing onto the frame. So it's kind of lifted up because of those skewers, making that gap in between. So you can only push the little tabbies over just enough, but it's not going to be secured just with that. And we do not want these little guys falling out. So I took some packing tape and just went very slowly against the edge so that it didn't stick out or show. And then just taped all the way around and made sure that it was secure and the back was not going to come off. So now it's time to get our little infamous truck ready, and I first take the tag off as well as the tree that's attached to him when you buy him this way, and it's pretty easy to remove, but I wanted to replace it with one of their realistic looking trees for the miniature villages. So I'm going to get my truck ready first by using some Waverly chalk paint in the color Mineral. And I'm just going to go around and paint everything except for the pieces that are standing up or, lifted. And so I just carefully go around all of the edges and paint the entire thing. And then on the tops, we're going to paint those white, and then we're going to do paint treatment in the buffalo check. I did the painting kind of in stages because you have to wait for certain things to dry, but I went ahead and painted the tires with black, just apple barrel black chalk paint. And then I noticed it was hard to kind of get into the little groove, but because those fenders are lifted, you can actually use a paint pen that I got from Walmart and get into those little crevices a lot better. And here I'm just painting the white for the door and the two fenders. now that it's dry, we're going to do some buffalo check painting, but it's going to be miniaturized. So I'm going to cut down my painter's tape to make it a lot skinnier so that it is smaller in scale. I first taped down the truck itself so that it's not moving around on me, and then just start with a striped pattern all the way through. Normally when you're doing this in regular size buffalo check, you would put a piece of tape in between each of the stripes so that you get the exact measurements, but because this was on such a small scale, it was easy to just kind of eyeball it. And I went all the way on the doors and the 2 fenders, and then painted that with a medium gray color. To get this lighter gray color, I just mixed some of the regular mineral color with some white and made it a lot lighter shade of the original color that the truck is painted in. And then after I was done with that layer, I pulled off the painter's tape to reveal the stripes. And they're not perfect, but this is just a handmade project, so I kind of like the character of, you know, bleeding lines, and it doesn't have to be perfect. But now I'm going to use my white paint pen and make the inside fender wells of the truck, and just did a circle by hand, and again, not having to be perfect, but it's, you know, you get the idea that that's what it is. So while I'm waiting for that paint to dry, I'm going to go ahead and give my tree a haircut. I want it to lay flat on the glass, so I'm just going to make the back of the tree flat by cutting him down. And I should have used some bad scissors, but you'll see that this is how it's going to lay when we're done. So now that this paint is dry, we're going to do the second layer of taping, and we're just going to go horizontally this time, all the way across where we've already painted, and we're going to use a lighter shade of those same colors. So while that paint is drying and the rims are dry, I went ahead and added black little highlights so it looked like a shadow and like they were rounded. And now I'm going to go ahead and make my bow, which will be at the top. And as I said, I'm doing this in stages because you do have to wait for the paint to dry completely. So I'm just making sure of the size that I want so that it won't cover the letters. And once I determine how big I want that, I take a pipe cleaner and wrap it around and fluff it out just to make sure that it's all ready to go, and then give it a cut on each end for a dovetail effect. And then I'm gonna cut off the pipe cleaners in back once I have it all ready and secure. Now I'm gonna embellish it with some things just from my stash, and I'm using a piece of greenery. I'm not really sure where this came from. I think it's just an extra part of a Christmas tree or something. And then using one of the cotton stems from Dollar Tree, I took the pine cone off of that, and I'm gonna adhere that with hot glue on top of the bow. Now that the second layer is dry, I'm going to add some vertical tape going back over the original spot where I first made those stripes. If you want to get a full description and a life-size idea of how this looks and how to do it, I will link a prior video that I did. There's a couple of them actually where I do the buffalo check. And on this one I actually did the light and dark backwards, so I should have put the medium on in the second set and the lighter on the first time. But regardless, it's still cute and more muted, I think, this way. But the last step is always going to be the black. So the black is going to go over the entire thing, and then it's time to pull off the tape and reveal it. Now we're going to go ahead and attach it to our glass, and I first figure out which way I want my tree to go. Sometimes they go outward and sometimes they go inward, but I first had to cut off that little stem, the wire piece of the tree. So using my wire cutters, I just cut him off. And then if you notice, he's pointed right there where he would be tipped over and in the truck. So first I glue the truck into the position that I want on top of the glass, and I use quite a bit of glue to make sure that he stays in place, and just rested him on the bottom part of the frame so it looks like he's on the road. But I cut across where the tree should be in the back of the truck, so that should not be showing. So I just cut a little angle off, the tip off, and glue gunned him down using, again, a lot of glue, and put him in place so that he's resting tilted over the roof of the truck. And there he is. Now we're gonna just attach that pre-made bow, and I wanna make sure that I'm not covering any of the vinyl lettering. So I'm also making sure that I glue him all the way across and not just in the middle, just to make sure that he stays secure. But that's it, and he's all done. Oh, I did finish with some distressing, which you'll see here in a second, but I just took a very dry makeup sponge and went around all of the edges to just kind of give him a distressed look, and kind of like he was an old truck and not brand new off the showroom floor. So just get that black apple barrel paint and wipe off as much as you can where you will still have some coming off, but it looks more like just a distressing, like kind of like you sanded it. But here he is. I think he turned out so cute. I love my buffalo check in the miniature scale, and I love the little snowballs inside, and I think he's just different and super cute. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, I would love if you could subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and please give us a thumbs up, and everyone have a blessed day. Bye.